Could I do it? Could I actually take my purple Superman 1 and turn it blue? Let's find out. You guys heard that right. What is going on? This is Lawrence over at Mighty Comics and Collectibles, and if you didn't know, I actually own a Superman 1. Now, my copy is an incomplete one. It's actually missing the front and back cover, but mine came with a reproduction cover, which actually looks pretty cool. It also is a restored copy. A lot of things going on with this book, and I wanted to see if I could actually have that restoration removed. And that's what we're talking about today in this video. Was it possible? We're going to find out right now. But before we get into the video, I remind you guys, if you're not a current sub of the channel, you guys are missing out on videos like this. I do this kind of stuff all the time here, so make sure you're subbed up. I also need you to do me a solid. I want you to smash that like button for me. The more likes, the better. We're trying to grow this channel, trying to get these videos out to other people who have not seen my stuff. Now, with that said, let me show you some of the pics that I got from the person doing the restoration removal, and we'll go from there, and hopefully this thing will come back a blue label. So here is the book in question. It is my Superman #1 with restoration that includes pieces added, tear seals, and reinforced. The cover is a color copy, coverless, and of course it has off-white pages. The cool thing about this book is when we actually cracked it out of its holder, we realized that it is a first print, which was awesome. I think a lot of people out there did not know that Superman 1 had, I think, 3 printings, and this is confirmed to be among the first prints. Here you can see the book cracked out of the case, ready to go, trying to get the restoration removed. Here's a photo of the interior portion of the book. As you guys can see, some of the seals that have been applied to the book for the restoration. Hopefully we'll get those removed. Here's the ad page for Action Comics #14. As you can see on the top right, that blurb there that says on sale June 2nd at your favorite dealer lets us know that this book is a first print. So more looks at the interior portions of the book, some tear seals that were applied. Overall, this book really didn't have too much restoration going for it. A lot of things were added, like I said, pieces, tear seals, stuff like that. The amount of work that went in to try to remove all this restoration was very vast, but I was really excited to see if the restoration could be removed and we could get this thing in a blue label. Here's to hoping. Here's a little snippet of a video that was posted by the person actually doing the restoration removal, and you could see how they do the work. So there you guys have it, a little bit of a show on how some of the restoration removal is done for tear seals, for, pieces added, stuff like that. The person that was doing the removal didn't think there was too much, and it thought it would be possible to get this thing into a blue label. We'll get into why in a little bit, so make sure you hang around. But the entire process was actually really, really smooth. It took about a couple of months. I actually sent my book in, already slabbed. He cracked it out after he determined that he thought he could remove a lot of restoration that had been done. He did his work. He sent it off to CGC, actually sent it directly to Matt Nelson, and the book finally came back. I think maybe it took about a total of 2 months altogether, probably a little bit less only because of the size of the book, right? It's a big book, Superman #1, so it was actually a walkthrough, so it did cost a little bit more, but to me, hopefully, you know, when we get this thing back, that the money will be worth spent for what I'm going to get back in return, right? But the real question is this: did we succeed? Did we get this book back in a blue label from that dreaded purple label that everybody hates? And I'm happy to say that this book came back a blue label NG with off-white pages. Of course, it still says coverless. Cover is a color copy, but I am super stoked to have this book back in the collection in a CGC universal grade. And I want to give a big shout out to the person doing the restoration removal, Kenny over at Sanderson Studios. Did a fabulous job. Very, very easy to work with. Took total care of me. And in fact, I'm going to be sending another book, not a restored book, but a book that I think needs a little bit of cleaning to hopefully try to get some of the stuff that's on the cover off that one. But regardless, why did I want to remove this restoration? It is because there's not only a stigma with restored books, but the value seems to be on a lot of these certain restored books are undeterminable. And what I mean by that is this. You guys know I've owned a Batman #1. I've owned a Detective Comics #31, both restored, both with moderate restoration. Now, this book I felt was kind of mild in the work that was done, and that's why I asked Kenny to take a look at it and see if he thought it was possible to remove what had been done. He thought, from what he saw, that he could do it. Now, with that said, the main thing and the main takeaway is this. When you're buying a restored book, there's really no intrinsic value to that book. It's what everyone and anyone is really willing to pay for that restored copy. So at one point, when I purchased the book, I was willing to pay a certain amount. Then I turned around and sold the book, and you have to find that person that is able to spend that kind of money on that book. But I got to tell you, with a blue label, it's not really like that. Obviously, with restored books, the amount of restoration on the book really drives down the value and price. But there's a lot of uncertainty too with restoration. Because of the amount, because of what's described, people are hesitant. People are hesitant because of the amount of money that could be earned or lost on these books. So having a blue label on this book, to me, was a good sign. I wanted to do it if it could be done, only for the fact it actually has a set value now, right? Yes, we all know it's still coverless, not a big deal. Presents beautifully, and that blue label is going to help this baby when it comes to value. And that, to me, is important when we're talking about big books. Not everything comes down to value in comics, but with these type of things, it actually does. I'm not getting rid of this book. I plan on holding it for a really long time. No reason to sell for me, but just to give you a little bit of backstory into the why. Okay, now this book has a set value, and that to me is more important. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video and like my thought process and doing this whole thing, because I think it could help some of the other collectors out there if they do own restored books. Maybe if they're looking at restored books, what to look for if a book is restored. Obviously, we want to stay away from trimming. We want to stay away from things that possibly couldn't be removed. Obviously, the small amount of color touch, I think that is the easiest thing to remove sometimes. Maybe a small amount of glue as well that could be removed. Obviously, the presentation might not be as great, but it gives you that blue label, gives you a defined amount of dollars, and that's what we're looking for if eventually we want to sell these books. So, hope you guys enjoyed the video. This is Lawrence over at Mighty Comics and Collectibles saying thank you for watching, happy collecting, and I'll talk to you guys soon.